Ordinance number 13, the $3 million loan agreement with Hercules. There's an amendment that should be in your packages. This amendment will be added to section 1 of that ordinance up for its third reading and a vote tonight. If you have it, you can look at it with me. It says the execution of said loan agreement, the loan agreement being the one that's about to be authorized if you authorize it, between the safety director and Hercules, is contingent upon the passage of pending supplemental legislation which shall provide for the initial designated capital funding, the creation of loan fund or funds with necessary appropriations, and the issuance of bond anticipation notes. Again, what's pending before you tonight is the first step. It says as a council, depending on how you vote, you are or are not willing to enter into this agreement for a loan with Formity Development. If you do, it's still not final, because there'll be legislation coming to you soon that changes Chapter 181 to allow for another exception for capital funds to be used as a backup. It'll authorize the auditor to open the appropriate accounts, and it'll appropriate enough money to make it happen. If all goes well, the loan agreement will contain a promissory note, a mortgage, and many terms and conditions about how it's to be repaid within. We're working on that as we speak. So again, this sentence, if it's added tonight by amendment, makes this piece of legislation the first step. Thank you.
Mr. Martuccio,
Yes.
we're going to have, if this passes tonight, then you've got 3 more pieces of legislation. Is that my understanding when they spoke about it on today?
It may be one ordinance, but it may be more, but it'll accomplish those different things. It'll amend the codified ordinance to allow the use of capital funds as a backstop for this, to prime the pump, if you will, until the loan agreement kicks in and the loan is being repaid. It'll also have a mortgage and a promissory note attached to it as well. But anyway, yes, this says that the loan agreement is still subject, before it's executed, it's still subject to the financing ordinances which are coming.
And capital funds come from the general fund. Am I correct?
Yeah, it comes from the initial, yes, from the initial collection of that pot of money called income tax. Under Chapter 181 of our codified ordinances, a portion of it is converted off for capital improvements.
So how much are we planning on? It's like floating, I'm understanding it. Like floating that monies until the bond.
Yes, the money will prime the pump. It'll start the $3 million loan. The bond anticipation note will authorize this city to borrow against itself in monies that have enough, in funds that have enough money to meet those demands. And then again, the promissory note will kick in, and we'll receive interest payments on a monthly basis, I believe 4% interest. And then in the second year, if I recall correctly, it'll be principal and interest payments with penalties if there's a late payment.
And interest, has that been determined what the interest will be, sir?
In the draft agreement that their attorneys prepared for us, we were looking at a figure of 4% interest.
And that's the first year from, like, if it passes, then next week or whatever, that would be
From execution.
13 till.
From execution. When all parties have signed off on it.
All right, well, sometime in April.
In the spring,
13,
yes.
so
In the spring.
April 14, where they will pay only interest to the city of Canton.
Only interest, and then there'll be a principal. And as to the exact dates, I'm not sure. Again, we're still working on that. It's a draft right now.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just look at the interest and principal payments, I believe will start formally December 31st, 2015. So they will make interest payments up until that date, and then the interest and principal payments will kick in thereafter.
2 years, sir?
That's good.
Thank you. And we are on the third on the mortgage, is my understanding. Third years. one, two other people in the organization in front of us.
That's,
We would be the third person on the board issue.
that's my understanding as well, Member Sorelli, as the others have larger amounts invested. Yes.
13.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter a loan agreement in an amount not to exceed $3 million with Corning Development or some other entity yet to be determined in order to provide gap financing to the Hercules redevelopment project and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 13.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 13. Any remarks?
Mr. President,
Yes.
thank you. Question to Mr. Martuccio. Mr. Martuccio, Law Director Martuccio, will you please give us a synopsis of what you had told us in caucus, please, for the record? And I have some other questions, sir.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Member Sorelli, the amendment that I assume will be offered up to this before it's voted upon, it's before all of you, reads that it's an amendment that will add one more sentence to section 1 of the ordinance pending before you. The sentence reads, the execution of said loan agreement is contingent upon the passage of pending supplemental legislation which shall provide for the initial designated capital funding, the creation of loan fund or funds with necessary appropriations, and the issuance of bond anticipation notes. Again, thank you for the opportunity to explain. What this does is it says that, assuming this ordinance passes tonight, the service director is still not authorized to execute the agreement until the legislation that's coming to you very soon is also passed. So this says to the service director, the administration, and our city at large, that the first step is in place to contemplate entering into a loan agreement. The next legislation, which comes before us, will authorize capital fund monies to be used as a backup or a backstop to get the ball rolling for the loan agreement with its concurrent promissory note and mortgage. All the terms will be set forth in that. So again, this amendment is necessary to say we're in motion, but the contracts and related documents, including the loan agreement, won't be executed until all the financing and the bond anticipation note is in place, and the ordinance is changed to allow the capital monies to be used to do that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. President, I'm not sure if you direct the question to, see, Mr. Price is not with us tonight. Because I had sent him an email on Friday, and I still didn't receive any answers from him. But I need to know, capital improvement money is in fact general fund dollars that when we make the budget, we set X amount of dollars aside for capital improvement, which is what we use for when we blacktop roads, what we use for big purchases, etc. We use cap monies. Are we setting aside, what I'm hearing you say, sort of like a bridge, that we're going to use capital monies until all the finances are structured? Maybe I'm not getting that.
Mr. President, Member Sorelli, I don't want to speak for the administration and the folks who've been working on this so diligently, but the simplified version, because I have to think in simple terms, is that this again primes the pump. The promissory note and the loan agreement will obligate the partners to this agreement to begin paying the loan back. They'll pay only the interest initially, and I believe the rate is 4%. At some point, I believe sometime in 2015, those payments back to the city will include principal and interest. Now, in the meantime, the bond anticipation note will allow us to borrow amongst our own funds here at the city in order to have the money to back the loan for the agreement. It is intended that those monies get paid back. Also, to your point about blacktopping and other capital improvement needs, again, my understanding is we have at any given point a number of debt capsules in the air, debt documents in the air. Some are falling off, some will fall off in the years to come. As they do, it will free up some of that capital fund money that had been obligated to debt, so that there will be some left over to do things like blacktopping and other capital repairs. How much I yield to other people on that, that's not what I do, but that's my understanding of how this is coming into play, interlocking, if you will.
Mr. President, thank you, Martusio. When you and I had the conversation on the phone, I was trying to put it together. We both came to the conclusion, like, where's the beef? You know, we were talking about this whole issue, trying to figure out, and then tonight I learned that we will be collecting back 4% till the year December 2015. That when it would kick in is when the principal and the interest would come back to the city. Is that correct?
That's my understanding in the documents that I've been reviewing.
So, and I need somebody to walk me through this, because again, I'm not sure. I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, one should never assume, that the $3 million will come out of our tax monies. And if we're going to sell ourselves the bonds, is that what I heard you say? Or within ourselves, the financing? There's $3 million somewhere that we feel pretty secure that we could use to aid and assist them in this project. However, us council people are under the impression that there isn't even any money to give a starting wage, a decent starting wage to the police force. And that makes me wonder, where's the beef?
You go there.
Mr. President, Member Shirley, again, only dealing with the documents I've dealt with so far. I understand that concern. A lot of people share it. The proportion that income tax money is collected by anyone who lives and works in the city at a rate of 2%. When it comes in, that money is divvied up pursuant to a formula that's been on our books for decades. I think it's a 2/5, 3/5, 1/5, or 4/5 split, I'm not sure. A certain percentage is taken for capital improvement monies, has been for decades. What is being proposed in a combination of fiscal documents to make this happen will not take from the general fund split. It won't be taking money to pay your salary, or my salary, or police salaries that come out of the general fund. If I'm misstating anything, I would let the budget director or auditor correct me, but I'm trying to talk in general terms so we can all follow this evening. Thank you.
Mr. President, Mr. Teruzio, do we comfortably have $3 million because they want to start this project? You know, they go on the property sometime, or maybe the mayor wants to answer, I don't know. I think he's shaking his head, he wants to. Shake his head, thank you.
Sure. Thank you. We have operations of about $170 million a year of the city of Canton, give or take a few every year. That's the range that we're in. That represents multiple funds. The general fund is about $53 million of that 170. We have enterprise funds, we have development funds, capital funds, and each of those funds cannot typically be commingled with each other. So while we can sit here and talk about how our general funds are stressed and how we have limitations in reference to what we can do to pay police, because that's the fund they're paid out of, when they're taking an anticipatory note and they're asking us to use that for a future bond that's coming, we're going to be borrowing that money, and the auditor's going to see fit to where the funds are to pull it from another fund and allow us to pay that back when the bond gets released. So it's not going to be touching general fund dollars at all, this whole process. So there are differences between the way the money flows, and there's specific uses for each fund, and this is kind of basic government fund accounting that we deal with.
And Mr. President, Mr. Drew, are you comfortable with exactly what the mayor stated?
Mr. President. Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
Better back up.
Mr. President, I move we amend ordinance number 13 for copy that all council members have in front of them.
Mr. President, I have a comment, please.
We got a motion.
Second.
Moving second to amend Ordinance 13, are there any remarks? Voice vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Member Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Councilman Mack made a very insightful statement the other evening when we were discussing this in committee. That it's the future of Canton we're looking at here with this law. And we need only to go back to the Myers Lake, just that far as west as Myers Lake, when the city council chose not to purchase that. And when you look at that area, how well it's been developed today, I think we look at it with a touch of envy. That could have been ours. We could have been receiving those tax dollars. And that's something that was a serious mistake. But best information at the time, they decided against it. I don't think we can afford another mistake like that. I think this is an insightful, this is something we need to look forward to in order to build our city and make it happen. Is it a bit of a risk? Yes, it is. But there was a very great NHL hockey player named Wayne Gretzky, who, when asked about his prolific scoring, said, "I missed 100% of the shots I never took." We need to support this.
Mr. President.
Member Fisher.
Thank you, sir. Obviously, this is a rather complicated issue, and my remarks just wanted to be that over the last few weeks since this first come downstairs, there's been a lot of back and forth between members of the council and the administration, and I particularly wanted to thank Director Williams for the work that he did in working with all of us and come from a number of different backgrounds. I had concerns about loan security. I had concerns about local labor and trades being used in the job. And Director Williams did, along with the rest of the administration, did a fantastic job of hearing out everybody's concerns. If you own a television or get the newspaper, you can plainly see that government doesn't always work well. As pretty obvious to anybody. This is one of these examples, I think, that whichever side of the issue that you're on, that we've worked as the way we're supposed to. The proposal comes down, there are concerns back and forth, everybody works together to come up with the best possible proposal. And the proposal that we have before us tonight, in my opinion, is greatly improved upon where it started. I'll be happy to support this, and I want to thank you.
Mr. President. Member West.
There's a statement that says, wherever people are, businesses flourish. I've been on this council for 10 years. I've been a Ward 2 councilor of downtown Canton. Seen a lot of restaurants come and go. Never got a chance to see a lot of retail come. I think this project is going to be the catalyst for change in downtown Canton. When people come downtown and they live downtown, that's when businesses will flourish and restaurants will succeed. Retail will come, and I want to applaud the administration, Majority Leader, and private businesses, and Bonnie Williams for leading this project, for taking council to see what you guys seen years ago. So I appreciate you guys bringing this, and I will support this gladly. Thank you.
Any other remarks? Member Babcock.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 13 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 13 as amended. Roll call.
Dougherty.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Cirilli.
No.
Cole.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
West.
Aye.
Smith.
Definitely yes.
Fisher.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
10 days, 1 day.